Well, good morning. Welcome back to the Broadcast Retirement Network. I'm Jeff Snyder. This is BRN AM for Monday, January 3rd, 2022. And our top story today, how to keep those financial and non-financial New Year's resolutions. And joining me now to discuss this and a lot more, George Grombacher is the Chief Community Officer with the Money Alignment Academy. George, Happy New Year. Great to see you. Thanks so much for joining us on the program this morning.
Thank you so much. Great to see you. Happy New Year to you and your family as well.
Well, thank you. We appreciate that. Happy New Year, too, by the way, to the audience, too. It's not just George and I. Hopefully, there are a lot of people watching. All right, George, every New Year, there are articles. There must be dozens. I already looked online, and I shared a couple with you. There are dozens about New Year's resolutions, whether you're trying to slim down, we're trying to lose that belly fat or that whatever fat, or we're trying to slim down our financial budgets. And let's take a step back before we get into some of the tactics. Let's talk about maybe why we talk about this every year and why do people maybe fail at this, or how can people succeed with their resolutions? Let's turn it into a positive.
Yes, perfect. And hope springs eternal every year around the holiday season. You're spending time with family, and then you get done with that and you're rejuvenated or exhausted, and then it's time for New Year's, and you can think about, okay, this was a great year, or maybe not a great year, but good news, we have a whole new crack at this deal coming up. So I think it's a very, very human desire to want to improve. Problem a lot of the time is it's also a very human desire to start something and then to slowly regress back to our normal or our mean. So I think that a lot of the reason that we fail to really lock in any positive changes that we make, and we've all experienced that, right? Lose 10 pounds, put it back on, get really excited about going to the gym, stop doing it, is that we do have that sort of positive or rather comfortable level that we live at. And so unless we really visit that and explore what that comfort level is, then it's hard for us to really break above that.
Yeah, and George, I'm going to ask you, I know you're not a scientist by trade, but is this just inherent in the human condition just based on your experience? And by the way, for context for the audience, George, you're working with employers who sponsor retirement plans. There's a whole cottage industry around behavior, trying to change participant behavior, but is it inherent in the human condition to just say, I want to change, I want to do it, but taking those steps, man, it's hard to put one leg in front of the other.
Yeah, for sure. I think what feeds us destroys us kind of a thing. The things that have kept us alive as human beings, as the human race for as long as we have, is also the thing that keeps us sort of stuck in our inertia. Our bodies, when I'm trying to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, if I'm used to getting up at 7, my body says, no, slow down there, George, pump the brakes a little bit. As you get back into bed, it's more comfortable. Or if all of a sudden I'm now running and eating different food, my body's like, what's going on here? We need to keep George alive. We need to stop him from changing his behaviors because he's been alive up to this point. So yeah, my amateur scientist, psychologist, whatever hat tells me that this is a very, very human experience.
Yeah, very good, George. And I would come to you with my problems. Let's talk about some of the basic tactics. And I think none of these should surprise people, but in perusing probably a dozen articles this morning before our show, pretty much the same, I don't know if the same person wrote it, I don't think so, pretty much the same thing. Take a look at budgets, see what you can carve out. These are difficult times for people in terms of inflation and pricing, but how do you and the Money Alignment Academy see 2022? Is it truly different than how you saw 2021 New Year?
Ooh, it's a great question. I haven't really thought about that. But really quickly, I'd say no, it's exactly the same. And, I think it's important to qualify and say that if your family has been really harmed by COVID, then our hearts go out to you. But hopefully it's just a matter of we're getting past it, and this year is going to be a little bit better than the last. So in terms of actually planning for New Year and looking at resolutions, I think it's important to think about, am I trying to start something new, or am I trying to stop something that I'm doing? And that the fear or the pain of loss is far greater than the feeling that we get from actually gaining something. So keeping that in mind, I think, is a really, really important thing. What am I trying to do? Am I trying to cut out smoking, or am I trying to trying to learn a language? Those are two very, very different things.
Yeah, and also let's just talk real quick before we go to commercial break. Let's talk about expectations. I think one of the things that we are a society, whether you live here in the States or you live abroad, we are a society where it's immediate gratification. So, hey, I worked out. Why isn't all the extra weight gone? Or I stopped getting the buying cigarettes. Why isn't my savings back to where it should be, right? I mean, it's about setting expectations. That's, again, back to the mental component of this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, setting expectations is a really important thing. I've been thinking of a good amount about this really recently, of what is the value of hard work, and is hard work really worth it? We went from a time where we were talking about working 24/7, 365 days a year, to then people were like, this is hustle porn, and this is really negative. And now we're talking a lot about self-care. And I think it's important to recognize that these things are not mutually exclusive, that we need to do all three things. So making any change in your life and getting to wherever you want to get with whatever you're trying to get to, if it's, I'm trying to get in better financial shape, I'm trying to get in better physical shape, I'm trying to have better relationships, will all require hard work, will all require you segmenting downtime and no work at all, and also will require you paying attention to taking good care of your mind, body, and spirit. So as we approach trying to make major changes, I think giving us grace that we're going to make mistakes here and there, and being focused on the fact that it will be hard, are all necessary.
Yeah, really good tips. And I'm glad we didn't get into a lot of the tactics. I think we just tried to help people kind of reset and rethink. I know I'm doing it each and every day. And I think, you chip away at goals. Well, George, I want to take a very quick break. When we come back, we'll talk about crypto cards. Will they lead to more mainstream adoption of cryptocurrencies? Well, guess what? You're going to want to stay tuned in this new year. Stay tuned right here on BRN AM. Imagine a new television network that will make you richer, healthier, and in control of your financial future. This network is for the policewoman in Nashville, Tennessee, the baker in Dubuque, Iowa, the teacher in Lexington, Kentucky. We want to make the idea of savings and retirement culturally relevant. But what do you see as a defining issue of the midterms, especially for the smaller businesses? I mean, they are the lifeblood of the American economy. Featuring exclusive interviews, current affairs, and docuseries. 33 years old, you retired early.
The philosophy is money only matters if it helps you live a life that you love.
But you got to start thinking about retirement as soon as you get in.
The Broadcast Retirement Network will drive very high engagement with premium partnerships. So this isn't retirement and savings for your parents or grandparents. This is for all Americans. And we're going to change the way you think about money. Welcome to the next frontier of retirement and savings. This is BRN, the Broadcast Retirement Network.
Are you stuck with a low credit score? A credit report and score that's causing you to be denied credit or pay higher interest rates than others for the same things? Then do what Terrence did and call Credit Repaired for your free credit evaluation to help restore your credit.
I started thinking about buying a new house, and my score wasn't where I needed it to be. I called and spoke with one of the representatives, and we just had a good conversation, and I liked what he was saying.
Just one call for his free credit evaluation was all it took to start back on the track to repairing his credit.
I'm seeing the deletions and I'm getting the report, so I know something's being done. It does make a difference to me.
All it takes is one call to get started.
Credit Repair has given me a second chance to have a better credit score.
Don't let a low credit score hold you back another day. Do what Terrence did and make the call for your free credit evaluation.
Call 800-819-4152. That's 800-819-4152. Again, 800-819-4152.
Welcome back. We're talking this morning to George Grombacher of the Money Alignment Academy. George, thanks for sticking with us this morning.
It's a new year. Let's go.
Yeah, new year, but the same topics. And really, I think it's more about repeating and getting people engaged. And I think that takes repetition. But we don't ever do things the same way on this network, just to point that out. All right, George, let's talk about cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency, again, volatile in 2021. And I would expect, I guess, want to get your feedback on this, that 2022 probably no different.
It's fascinating to me. It is a brave new world, and I work in the space of personal finance, obviously. And so I know that for so many people that are not immersed in it, they're very, very curious about it. Some people want to be able to invest in cryptocurrencies inside of 401ks. They're asking, why aren't we able to do that already? And so I think that the conversation around being able to use a card to actually buy things and purchase things with cryptocurrency is very much, I don't know if it's timely or not, but it's probably the appropriate next step.
Yeah, really important. I mean, I think decentralized finance, some of it has merit, and blockchain, but I think as investors, as people who are saving, you need to know what you're getting yourself into. It's not enough to put all your eggs in one basket and just hope and pray that things are going to work out. But what we do know is that one of the major challenges of having crypto is being able to use crypto. And what's popping up around, not only here in the US, but abroad, and we'll get into that in a few minutes. But let's talk about these crypto cards allow for greater access, and so now you can spend with them. That actually helps mainstream adoption.
Yeah, I think that it probably will. I'm curious what the breakdown of what people's perception of, we'll just use Bitcoin for an example, of what the real utility or use of Bitcoin is. Are they buying it? Is the average consumer buying Bitcoin because they want to invest in it? Or are they buying it because they want to invest in it and they actually want to be able to buy things with it? I think that we're going to see, I imagine that the vast majority of people are just interested in using it as an investment at this point, but it's both of those things, so that we are now bringing online the ability to invest in it, yes, but then also, should I be so inclined to buy things with it just through the form of a card? I think that will help to expedite and really catalyze mainstream adoption. So I think it's nothing but a positive, and frankly, just it's a predetermined thing. It's just going to happen.
Well, look, Visa, MasterCard, others have really jumped into this space. But as you know, George, because you cover it and you talk about it regularly, is that what happens here in the U.S. can be very different than what happens abroad in other countries. There are countries that have stricter financial rules around cryptocurrency. So before you get that crypto card and you decide you're going to go hobnob and take a trip to Europe, assuming that they are not restricted by COVID, you really need to look out for some of these rules and restrictions in places you're heading.
Yeah, I think that that's an excellent point. If you show up in a country that does not allow for you to buy things with it, and that is your only means of purchasing, then you're probably in trouble. So there are a lot of considerations like that. I think that certainly it is buyer beware. So if you are using these things, it's incredibly important to be mindful of the fees and the expenses that are associated with these things, because certainly we all know that using a credit card, that's not a free transaction necessarily for many of us, or for a merchant. And so we need to be cognizant of that. And then I think that we're also going to be ironing out some of the details. I know that how important it is to keep my Bitcoin safe, and there's different ways to do that. So now, and I don't want to be a fear merchant necessarily, but I think that as all of a sudden we are now linking our accounts up to different vendors all over the world, and I'm sure that Visa and MasterCard and everybody else have thought about this, but I would approach this new technology, as I do every new technology, with a little bit of caution.
Yeah, really, really good point. And privacy, very important when it comes to technology. And look, blockchains are not fully secure like every other system. I mean, no system is perfect. George, last question. This really is about retirement and 401k plans. And you made a comment that you hear regularly, maybe not regularly, but you've heard sporadically that people are interested in including cryptocurrencies in 401k and 401k type plans. Let's just talk real quick about, we have an exchange traded fund. It's not a spot ETF where it actually gives you a piece of Bitcoin. There's still some concerns there with the SEC, but how close do you think we are to getting access in the form of a mutual fund or through a brokerage account for people to buy crypto? In a retirement plan, I'm sorry.
No, I appreciate that very much. And I think it's an exciting thing that you have Visa and MasterCard and these huge players that are moving into the space. And I think that it's exciting that there are ETFs and whatnot, like you just mentioned, that are moving into the space. How quickly it's going to find its way into the actual 401k plan, I imagine that will be a little bit slower, and that will be one of the last places that it does find itself, and I think for good reason, frankly. So,
yeah, my bet, for if anyone even cares, probably in a target date fund. But there are other asset classes like direct real estate, private equity, alternatives, and ESG that I think my money's on before crypto. But hey, that's just me, and I could be wrong. You know, I'm one of 330 million people. George Grumbacher, Happy New Year. Great to see you. Thanks so much for joining us. And we wish you and your family a great holiday, New Year, and we will talk to you soon.
Thanks, Jeff.
That wraps up this episode of BRN AM. Have a topic of interest? Someone you think we should talk to? Drop us a line. And don't forget, for all the information in finance, wellness, lifestyle, tech, so much more and all in one place, check out today's edition of our daily newsletter, The Morning Pulse. Want to search our archives or see our latest content? Check out our streaming partners like Roku, Amazon, Samsung, and over 100 more. We're back again tomorrow. Until then, I'm Jeff Snyder. Stay safe, keep on saving, and don't forget, roll with the changes. Now is your opportunity to co-create content around any topic on the First Lifestyle and Wellness Network. Reach a global audience through our platform and co-own exclusive branded content. All of our programs are available on demand and also as audio-only podcasts, so you can take us on the go. Broadcast Retirement Network, available anytime, anywhere, and on any device.
Are you being audited and do you owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes? Is the IRS threatening to take more of your money? Don't fight the IRS alone. The Tax Doctor is here to help you negotiate your tax bill and reduce your stress. The IRS can freeze your assets and seize your bank accounts, but you can stop these IRS actions. The Tax Doctor will work with you using our years of experience to represent your case to help you get the best resolution under the IRS guidelines. Help is here to deal with the IRS to reduce your stress. We've handled thousands of cases, so we know what we're doing. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes, do not call the IRS alone. Call a Tax Doctor now for a tax emergency analysis.
Call 800-224-6439.